Hey everyone, today I'm joined by Tim Kilroy. Tim is the founder of Build Your Agency Better. And with over 2 decades of experience in the digital marketing industry, Tim has founded, scaled, and sold several agencies. And now he's focused on coaching agency owners to grow their sales, profit, and happiness without working harder or longer. I was very excited to get Tim on so he could share his insights on creating irresistible offers, and he doesn't disappoint. In this episode, we discuss how to craft an offer that aligns with your client's business needs, the biggest mistakes agencies make in their sales process, how focusing on value can turn prospects into long-term clients, and more. Today's episode is brought to you by ZenPilot. There are lots of tools out there for agencies to manage projects, but any project issues aren't usually caused by the tool, they're from your own processes. ZenPilot helps agencies implement their project management tools while streamlining operations, so your team can move from chaos to clarity. You can see for yourself at zenpilot.com/forward. And now, Tim Kilroy. It's easier than ever to start an agency, but it's only getting harder to stand out and keep it alive. Join me as we explore the strategies agencies are using today to secure a better tomorrow. This is Agency Forward. Why is understanding a prospect's business crucial for creating a great offer?
For a long time, first cash was king, and then content was king. We know it's king right now, or queen, or emperor, or whatever. It's context. Like relevance is king, or queen, or ruler supreme, because it doesn't matter how good your offer is if, quite honestly, it's not relevant to me. So, for instance, I'm sure just like me, you get a bazillion people on LinkedIn reaching out saying, hey, would you like 40 sales calls guaranteed this month or you don't pay?
Yeah, and I would love them.
Oh, no, actually, 40 sales calls I would hate.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because 40 sales calls, right? But like 40 sales calls, that's quantity over quality, right? Because I don't actually want to get on a sales call and make an offer to someone until they know a lot about me. I know a lot about them. And so that I know that I can help and they understand the help that I can give. And that is the key to making an offer that sticks. So in order to create a great offer, you have to know and understand what your prospect needs. Now, many people focus on the thing that they do, like 40 sales calls this month, right? That would be, if you're making an offer, that's my output. But I don't actually buy your output. Like you're not a cookie factory, right? Mm-hmm. You are like, you buy the result that you get from your vendor, right? So it doesn't, I don't care. Honestly, I don't really care what you do. I don't care how you do it necessarily. I just want to know that if I buy something from you, I'm going to get the result that I want. And what's really, really, really important if you're going to make an offer is that you have a really good idea of what makes sense for me. Because if you don't know what's important to me, how can you possibly sell anything to me? By the way, that's my dog Fred. That's his butt back there. Oh, and I'm pretty sure in just a minute he's going to start barking. But because he's out there looking for squirrels, but that's okay. It's ambiance. Yeah.
There we go. Squirrels, mailmen.
Yeah. And so the as a perfect example. So let's imagine that you're an email marketing agency and you have a great service. It is amazing. Like it is so cool and awesome. And it's like the best in the whole world. and you are engaging with a business that is entirely focused on new customer acquisition, do you think that they're going to buy an email marketing service if their headspace is 100% on new acquisition?
Mm-hmm.
No. Like, it doesn't matter how good your service is, but it's not relevant to them at this moment. Now, it might be someday in the future, but right now, you need to understand what it is that your target person needs. And I don't really like to say target, your ideal client profile, even though I use those terms, because what you have is every ideal client profile is too big. Because what you were looking for inside of that ideal client profile is something that's really specific. Like, I am looking for, in my case, I'm looking for agency owners who are either at the very beginning of their journey and don't know what the heck they're doing, or I'm looking for those people who are transitioning from a major participant in their delivery business into somebody who leads their business. Like, those are the two spots where I have the most impact. So, can I help a $25 million agency with something? Absolutely. Is that my best offer to them? Am I the most relevant person for them? No, because they can hire somebody to work on the specific thing that they want or need or their particular problem. And so I could make the best coaching offer in the entire world to Mike Mothner, who's the chairman of W Promote. I could make the best coaching offer in the whole world, but I am completely irrelevant to him. Mm-hmm. My experience and his experience, they're not like. Could I help him with something? Sure, I guess I probably could. But I'm not going to be able to, I'm not Bill Campbell, the $1 trillion coach, or, I'm not going to be able to help him in the specific way that he needs to be helped. And so that means I should not waste my time making offers to people that I don't think that I can help. So in order to be able to make a great offer, I got to know what the impact that you were looking for and how what I do supplies that.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I work on. With my clients, it's not necessarily niching. We're just trying to figure out, like, what is that one problem that we solve for one audience, right? So now, like, within that, right, even I could pick a problem like I help HR departments solve this one issue.
Yeah.
Right. But when we go to the audience, that's going to be looked at very differently between a manufacturing company and a tech company.
Yeah.
And so even how we talk about the problem and the context around the problem does shift entirely just through that lens. And then your service being able to actually deliver on top of that, right, makes it just chaotic if all those things aren't all aligned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I agree entirely.
And there's two ways you can think about your target audience or the problem that the problem that you solve. You can think about it vertically, which is I help e-commerce retailers who are in this situation, right?
Right.
That's cool. And that's kind of a vertical offer. You don't pay a lot of attention to people, to insurance agents or to school teachers, right? You're working with e-commerce retailers. That's awesome. However, there is like a horizontal problem, much like Google My Business profile optimization. Like, it doesn't really matter who you help there, but you are helping businesses who are at a particular stage across all industries. So that's like a horizontal problem. Now, the hard thing about horizontal thinking is that you got to learn a bunch of stuff and you have to understand the language. As you were saying, you have to be able to make the benefit of what you do relevant to in a bunch of different contexts. That's why it's easier to actually to sort of focus on a particular, a vertical, a vertical rather than a horizontal problem. It's not necessarily better. It's just easier. Right. Because most wildly successful agencies, like everybody who works, all the companies inside of WPP, for instance, like that's a horizontal solution to marketing problems. Like they service every conceivable industry, right? So they have marketing solutions horizontally. It's not just like they are, they're vertical and they only work with these certain kinds of businesses. They work with all sorts of businesses. I mean, there's probably with WPP, there's probably a scale issue too. Like they're not gonna work with a $2,000 a month client, but
right. Yeah, and if you can find that intersection between the horizontal and vertical, right, you can now get very specific on an offer. You just got to make sure that the TAM is large enough to be able to support, whatever you're trying to do with your business.
Yeah, and so one thing to say is there is not an audience in this world that is so narrow that you can't make a $5 million or $10 million agency out of it. It is really just about your ability to do so. So right. Worrying about TAM is probably not worth many people's time, because TAM, that's a scale issue, right? Like that's like a macroeconomic issue that should not influence your day-to-day engagement. So just know that every market is big and every market is really, really noisy and crowded. So there are no simple niches. There are no blue oceans or whatever. Everything's a red ocean. Like just deal with it, right? Like there is no untapped opportunity unless you're inventing some kind of new technology. There is no untapped opportunity in the service world. Your success comes down to your ability to advocate your message and execute on your promise.
Yeah. So I had one client who wanted to do like national SEO or just right, like hit SEO for national stuff, because he was really worried about the ability to grow his business if he only focused on a locality. However, all of his current wins were around one specific city in the US. And so we were able to pull up just Chamber of Commerce information and show just for the 3 types of companies that he wanted to work with in that specific city, he could be a $6 million agency. And that was for like, if he won 3% of those companies and stuff. So it's very conservative in the numbers. But yeah, that's just more credit to what you're saying, right? Like you can become a $5+ million agency with almost any audience.
Absolutely.
It's just how do you make it happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess what are some of the biggest mistakes then, like separate from maybe not having the context, are you seeing agencies make as they start building their offers?
One of the biggest issues is they either try to make their initial offer meaningless. We'll do an SEO audit for you for free. Like that's our offer to attract you to talk to us. Well, the functional value of an SEO offer to most companies is negative. Like it's just a waste of time because they can't do anything with it. They don't know how to do anything with it, and they don't understand what it means. So it is a great thing. Like as an SEO agency, you know exactly the value of that, and you think you are giving something of high value. But if it's not something that is actionable or understandable by your client, it's kind of meaningless. Like they wouldn't have responded to you if there was not a problem that they thought you could solve, right? So the primary issue in that sort of initial attraction offer, getting the attention offer, is that people offer something that they think is high value, but the client does not. or the market does not. But when it comes down to the actual engagement offer, how do you structure the engagement? They often focus on deliverables, right? We will optimize this many pages. We will create this many ads. We'll write this many blog posts, whatever. And that's cool because it creates some sort of accountability. But that's not what the client is buying. Like, they do not care. Because, if you make 2 ads and they are amazing and they're killing it, why do you worry? Why do you worry about making the other 14 that you obligated yourself to? Or if you've obligated yourself to 2 blog posts a month and those blog posts are not successful, it doesn't matter how good they are, for whatever reason they're not successful. Well, why would you keep that part of the offer? So what you need to do is create an offer that facilitates the desired outcome. And it helps from a delivery standpoint if you can allow yourself some flexibility in the deliverables. Meaning, like, we can see 60 days ahead. So in months 1 and 2, like, we're going to deliver this. And then, in month 2, we're going to, reevaluate, do strategies for months 3 and 4, and just, do it that way. Or the other thing is, people make offers that are delayed gratification. SEO, email, and even Facebook ads, like, they're oftentimes the things that people are selling is a future benefit that requires a long time to make work.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be true. Like, it does take time for your SEO strategy or content strategy to work. However, like, time to value or time to usefulness, it's so hard to create an offer that's saying, pay me for 3 months and then I'll show you something. So the offer, whatever offer you make, needs to create some sort of tangible benefit, like, sort of immediately after the kickoff meeting. Within the first couple of weeks, there's got to be some sort of win. And so often agencies make these offers that are too conservative. Like, they're afraid of overpromising. So they say, this isn't going to work for 90 days, or, it's going to take us, like, you've got to spend $20,000 in media before the algorithm truly understands you, or whatever. You got to figure out a way to fix something right now. So, because by the time, if you're billing in advance, they have paid, if you have a setup fee, great, but they've paid the setup fee maybe month 1, month 2, and month 3. And then, so they've made 3 or 4 payments to you, and then they're getting benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really hard to justify that, because, if you're a marketing manager, you're going to go to your boss and say, hey, listen, I know that we're a small company and we need, return on investment, within 60 days to keep our cash cycle working. But I would like you to approve this budget where we're not going to get any return, for 90 days. Well, no one's going to say yes to that. But what's really crucial, what's crazy, is that agencies don't understand how other businesses work. So if a company has to have a 60-day cash cycle where the money that they spend gets paid back to them within 60 days, offering them a 90-day solution does not work.
Mm-hmm.
And so lack of understanding not only of what your client wants, but of how your client works is a real killer for so many agencies.
Right. everything you're saying is music to my ears, because it's things that like I'm preaching to my clients.
Well, thank goodness
as well.
I'm glad I'm not singing, because then everybody would shut this off right away if I started singing.
It's funny. So Max Trailer and I had done an episode of Beers with Max, and we kind of came to the conclusion, like a lot of coaches, we all kind of think the same things. And it's like, why does no one want to listen to us and just do these things? And it really takes going in and having the conversation face to face and being like, this is how we're going to do it.
So it's broccoli versus candy, right? Like, candy's awesome. Like, everyone wants the candy. And that's why these like 40 sales calls in a month guaranteed, like, that's candy. It's bad. Mm-hmm. It's bad for your teeth. It's bad for your eyes. It's not sustainable. You're going to get sick eventually. You got to eat some broccoli. So even if you are that agency that is selling, the fact that we like the real benefits are coming in, 3 to 5 or 6 months from now, cool. Well, you got to take that broccoli and you got to dip it in some cotton candy so it tastes good right now. And I think the sad fact of the matter is, you have to sell the things that people will buy, right, and deliver the things that they need. Right. And you're not being disingenuous, because you're gonna deliver those things that they think they want. But especially in the coaching or agency space, often your real job is to say, hey, you know what? That problem that you think you have, that's the symptom. That's right. The drip. Like, blowing your nose does not cure your cold. Like, it gets snot out of your nose, and that's awesome, but you still have a cold. And what most people are looking to buy is their issue is that they have a drippy nose. They don't want a drippy nose anymore, but they're not necessarily willing to hear you have a cold.
Yep. Agreed. Something I've done with one client is that we break up like the short-term and the long-term goals. And they actually sent a proposal to a client, and they were towards the higher end of the proposals that were received for this. But because they addressed the near term and so said, hey, this is what you need. Like, we need to do this. That's probably what everyone else is telling you, because it's pretty obvious. But we know that's going to take a while to actually come to fruition. And so we want to do these things in the short term that'll, actually get you some return, so that you don't have to wait forever for this one thing.
Exactly.
And the client went with that because they were able to say, hey, this is how we're going to be able to help you right now as well as in the future.
Right.
And so a simple shift.
And one other thing that this goes back to agencies not really understanding how other businesses work. They need to understand how the client is going to apply the benefit that the agency can deliver, right? So we like, we'll go back to organic search. Great. We're going to double your traffic in the next 12 months. Cool. Awesome. I mean, by the way, if you're an SEO agency, don't ever sell that, because traffic is easy. The right traffic is hard. That's like this. But anyways, but if you're going to be able to like double their revenue from organic traffic, like, that's cool. But how are they going to use that benefit? Right? They want to double their organic traffic because, like, they want to get more organic revenue for a reason. And the reason, by the way, is not revenue. Like, the reason is, well, we think we get better LTV out of those clients, or we get, better, we get, better frequency of purchase, or, that allows us to, deploy more profit into our ad spend so we can grow beyond what we can reach organically, right? There's like, you need to be able to understand how the client perceives your benefit, because rarely is it revenue, right? Most of the time it is it's either a solution to a profit problem, or it's a solution to a cost problem. And those are actually different. But by and large, for the most part, what you were selling as an agency is more profit or lower costs.
And then knowing that also gives you this additional context to be able to look at your offer and start adding things to it that better facilitate, what you're looking at for that ultimate end goal.
Yeah.
And so, but just another reason to collect that information, that context.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm going to say something here that will get my, online marketer, ID card taken away. Please do not do a value stack. The Russell Brunson, the base service is this, but then we're going to give you this for free and that for free and the other thing for free and the third thing, you're probably too young to know who Ron Popeil is.
Yeah.
So back when I was a kid, we had these crazy things called infomercials. And there's this guy, Ron Popeil, who sold crazy products like an at-home chicken rotisserie thing, or a mandolin, a something that, or food processor that slice things really small. Or my favorite, and this is a product I owned, the Pocket Fisherman, which was a teeny tiny little short fishing rod, which is freaking cool. But what he would do is be like, are we going to charge $79 for this? No. We're not going to charge $79 or $69 or $59 or $49. We're going to charge $29. And if you order in the next 10 minutes, we're going to give you this thing, that thing, and the other thing. A $17 trillion value for $29.99 plus shipping, right? When you take this offer that you have of fee for service, right? And you start layering other stuff on top of it that, where you're saying like, this is a $297 value and I'm giving it to you for nothing. Or first of all, nobody believes that at all. Like, nobody believes that you ever sold that thing for $297, even if you did. Secondly, nobody wants to be sold to, except in very specific circumstances. If you're at a conference and you're selling from the stage, that sort of value stack stuff, that's part of the performance, right? And that's a time when you can do it. But if you're a business selling to other businesses and you're both serious about your businesses, nobody's going to fall for that load of crap that is, here are your free bonuses. So please don't do that. Lots and lots of people do, or they choose to, offer like money back guarantees or whatever, or performance guarantees. Like, don't do that either. Like, you can offer satisfaction guarantees. Like, hey, if we don't hit the goals that we agreed on, like, we'll stop charging until we do. Like, that's cool. Or if we don't if we've signed a 12-month contract and after 3 months we don't hit these milestones, you can fire us without the 30-day notice. Like, those kind of those are fine. But we guarantee your money back. You know who takes those offers? The people who need their money back, right? The people who need their money back, those are the people who take those offers. And here's this goes back to another issue. Lots of agencies end up selling to businesses that can't afford agencies. And agency owners twist themselves into not trying to service the people that can't afford them. Because they want that revenue, or they see some kind of big opportunity. Here's just a hard truth. A great agency cannot fix a broken business. Agencies are very bad at getting from 0 to 1. They're really good at getting from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, but very bad at 0 to 1. And so if you're talking to people who do not have a business that makes sense already, you can't help them. It doesn't matter how awesome you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they need to fix other problems before they can worry about approaching a broader market, which is what agencies do. They help you find a broader market.
Right. Yeah. So on the value stacking, we just had this conversation internally because we were launching a workshop, and we had the exact same conclusion that you just went into, which, like, nobody is going to believe that this worksheet is $500, right? So, like, unless we can apply an actual number based on the value that we're actually providing and the costs that are incurred with whatever, like, we don't need to put a price on any of this stuff. We just have the overall offer, and here's everything that's included. And I think it's a much stronger appeal to the offer rather than having people like look at each item and be like, well, is that worth that much money? Because when everything is $29.97 in this value stack and I'm buying it for $1,000, it's like, okay, well, obviously you're losing a lot of money by giving me all this. So like, yeah.
Now, by the way, I will admit, right this very moment on my website, timkilroy.com, there is a pop-up on the homepage that says you can get my cold email compendium and the perfect proposal for free. And they say it says on it that it's $127 value. Well, that's true, because I did in fact sell many of the cold email, but they're older and I'm working on new ones. So I'm giving them away for free right now. But just know that I have plenty of customers who paid me $97 for the cold email compendium and $29 for the right. So I just don't want to be called a hypocrite.
Yeah. Right. Get it out now. No, I mean, that's the same we did. So we're doing a workshop for this landing page. And so we actually tallied up the hours that are going to go into the actual just delivery of the workshop. And said, how much is it worth for having all of these, expert presenters? What would they be charging? And so, it's a $4,000 offer based on just purely on their hours inside this workshop.
And thanks for inviting me. Like, thanks for having me, being one of the presenters.
I've gotten that a couple times from people now, so I got to start getting broader invitations.
Or just don't talk about it,
Right. I understand now why people keep their weddings a secret so that they don't have to tell everyone.
Yeah. Like, Sandra, we don't really like you. Like, you're a second tier friend. You're the backup weekend planned. Like, you're not in the primary rotation. Sorry.
Right. Just a couple friends, right, that we're inviting.
400 or so.
Right.
Yeah. And you just missed the cut. You were number 704.
Right. I'll just say it's all from my wife's side. So, which is the issue here, right? It was all from my wife's side for the workshop and invitations.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
So, with that out of the way, so what are, I guess, some of the elements that, or the components, I guess, that you'd be looking for in a great offer now that you've got the context? And
so by the way, like, there's 3 offers that you make during two to 3 offers. The first one is the attraction offer. Like, what am I getting? What's the benefit to you to talk to me? Like, why would you voluntarily put yourself into my sales cycle? Right. And so that is something, hopefully of high value that gives the client or the potential client more information about their business or about what they're trying to achieve than they would have otherwise. Right. And so that might be, whatever, like I have a free book. It might be something like, a CTA scan of your website saying, hey, you're not consistent in what you're offering, or whatever, like something that helps them understand that you know what you're doing. Right. Like that. And so that's one thing to get their attention, to get them to, that's the value that they get for subjecting themselves to your sales spiel. Right. And then and depending upon how your conversation goes, there are two potential other offers. One is the upfront offer, which is sort of like the tester. And I'm actually a big fan of these for most agencies, because most agencies do a very poor job of qualifying people. Mm-hmm. And so if you do this upfront offer, which is a narrow subset of what you do, some small slice of what you do, or something that is very directly related to what you do, where you can work with the client for a short period of time, 2 to 6 weeks. And it's interactive. It's not like you go away and do something and come back to them, but you actually have to work with them so they understand your process, the way that you act. You understand their process, the way that they act, and you're being paid for this, right? And so when I work with dev clients, people who build websites and that sort of stuff, or technical things, we basically, say it's really kind of like a paid scoping project. It's narrow, it's discrete, it has real value. There's benefit from it. So one of the guys that I'm friendly with, Tim Keene, he used to do an upfront offer, which is he did Facebook ads. He said, we'll install a loyalty program or a rewards program in your business, just as and it's whatever, it's I don't know how much you charge for it, like $2,500 or something. And it was short, discreet, so that people get that he would be allowed to see how their business works and be able, and then have real ideas about what to offer. And so that short, like that upfront offer, everybody should have one. You need to think about it sort of not as a downsell necessarily, but rather as something that primes the pump. Right. So if people are if you've not jumped over the trust hurdle yet, right, and they don't want to sign a contract, that's 2 or 3 or 5 or 12 months long, whatever, like you give them something that's not a lot of money relative to who they are, and it gives them the opportunity to work with you, and you get all access to all the data that you need so that you can make them a really specific offer later.
Right.
Now, that's very, not enough agencies have that. And I wish everybody would have one, because it is so powerful, because number one, it gives you just way more exposure to a bunch of different ways of businesses that the businesses work, and you get more data. So you understand a whole bunch more stuff about more businesses. And then there's the actual engagement offer. Like, yeah, we love you, you love us. Here's what we suppose, or here's what we propose. There's not much that you need to put into that, other than like, this is the process by which we do our job. This particulars don't matter, but you just want to like outline what you do. Not how you do it or the details or the deliverables, but you basically want to say, like, our process is, we gather data, we do some testing, we do whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. But the offer is, as we execute these things, here are the benefits that you specifically are going to achieve, which match up to the strategic things you told me you wanted to accomplish. And so if you're just promising revenue or return on ad spend or traffic, those things are not strategic. You've got to get really good at asking questions like, cool, you want to grow your revenue. Why? Like, okay, you need more profit. What do you need more profit for? Oh, you got to expand the team, or we're not making enough now. Awesome. Great. So everything that I'm going to tell you from here on out is going to have a direct line from the thing that I say to solving that strategic issue for you. Mm-hmm. And if you cannot draw a direct line from what you do to what they need, you don't have the right client. Like, it's not a fit. And so do not be satisfied with offering better return on ad spend or lower CAC. Like those are the measuring sticks. Like, but what's the impact of a lower CAC on your clients and their business? Like, you have to understand that to be able to sell the transformation that you're offering, right? Because really, when we're going to go back in the way back machine again.
Sure.
These days, the Bumblebee, the Transformer, he's like this cool Camaro that turns into a Transformer. When I was a kid, he was a VW Bug. but what your client is really buying is turning their VW Bug into Bumblebee, right? Like that's what they're buying. Like they want to be able to know how what you do gets them from being an underpowered little car to something that's really powerful, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to know like how they're going to deploy the benefits in order to power that transformation. And if you don't understand that, you are not going to be able to make a sale that sticks, because you will be somebody who is simply as good as the performance on their last report.
Yeah. Man, that feels like a good place to move into our last questions.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, hit that one hard right there. I guess the first one is what book do you recommend every agency owner should read?
There's two of them. I couldn't just pick one. And one is one that you and I spoke about when we chatted a little bit ago. It's Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif. I forget what his last name is.
Abin.
Yeah. Yep. Very specifically, it's the areas around decentralized decisioning, because that concept of making the entire the entire plan clear to everyone, why you're executing this plan, everybody who's involved in the plan and all their parts supporting the plan. That's how organizations work. Most agencies are thinking like, I give you the SOP, you deliver the SOP, and then I yell at you because the SOP did not have the desired outcomes, and you didn't do another thing that I told you should never do. So just follow the SOPs, and that's the way most people manage. The other one, and this is for people who want to become both better leaders, better bosses, and better people. It's Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. Because it talks about the emotional side of leadership and the importance of showing up as the importance of showing up without your defensive armor on. And that Dare to Lead book, quite honestly, it can change your business relationships. It can change your intimate relationships, and it can change your family relationships.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the last question is, where can everyone find you?
TimKilroy.com. And to sort of follow on this idea that we just talked about of decentralized leadership. This is total promo pitch.
Yep.
I've actually just introduced a new program for smaller agencies. So people, under 20 on staff, probably maybe 25, where we construct a demand gen and lead gen program that is not owned by you, the founder. And if you don't have a marketing or lead gen person on staff, we are able to distribute that work across the entire team in their spare time, like really spare time, not extra hours, but spare time. so that we create an environment where everybody knows what's going on in the growth of the business. Everybody knows how it all works. Everybody gets to see the results. But the coolest thing is more teamwork between the team, because they start working better together because they have to, and then that spills over to the other parts. And it's a lot more fun because we do some ridiculous gamification, like, if you have the stupidest meme of the day or the campaign, like, you get the dad joke award, or, and it might be a cantaloupe, who knows? Just like really stupid stuff, but basically ways to invest in your team so that they can invest in your business.
Right. Awesome.
And you can find that at timkilroy.com/Gen Plus, GEN-PLUS.
Awesome. I wish I'd been able to get chrisdubois.com, but there's apparently a lot of Chris Dubois out there. And so,
oh yeah. So there's only like 250,000 people named Kilroy on the entire planet. So,
there you go. Maybe I just need to switch my name.
Yeah. And and I'm old. So I got here really early. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
And it might be worth a lot of money later. There you go.
No, I couldn't get Kilroy.com, which is really sad. And I actually approached the owner of that, which happens to be some really small company. They wanted $50,000 for it. And I said, no, screw you. Yeah. Suck it. Like, don't, like, good luck. Good luck. All right. Yeah. Hey, it was really nice talking to you, Chris. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, Tim. This was great.
All right. Take care.
You too. That's the show, everyone. You can leave a rating and review, or you can do something that benefits you. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe to Agency Forward on Substack. You'll get weekly content, resources, and links from around the internet to help you drive your agency forward.